Today, I'm going to be reviewing Thunderbird at Holiday World, located in Santa Claus, Indiana. Thunderbird is a B&M wing coaster, meaning that the seats come off to the side. It opened as the first launched B&M wing coaster in the entire world and remains one of the only ones in the world. Located in the Thanksgiving section of the park, Thunderbird opened on April 2016. Standing at a height of 140 feet, with a length of 3,035 feet, and a top speed of 60 miles per hour, Thunderbird is not the biggest roller coaster in the world. But with its short duration and 4 inversions, it sure does pack a punch. Get right into the layout, starting with the initial launch. Riders will accelerate 0 to 60 miles per hour in roughly 3.5 seconds. It doesn't sound incredible on paper, but it is a punchy launch that will give you some good forces. Thunderbird then glides through a 140-foot element, which is the tallest point of the ride. This is a smooth and graceful element which doesn't pack too much force. As you hurl towards the ground, you then maneuver into a ginormous vertical loop. This vertical loop is very smooth and packs a decent amount of positive G-force. Thunderbird then maneuvers into 2 oddly shaped turnarounds which are both identical. In my opinion, this is an odd choice of elements, but they are smooth and decently forceful. The coaster makes its way back to the ground and picks up speed while flying through a 0G roll. During this element, riders will experience a sustained moment of weightlessness. The element is profiled in such a way that the rider will experience weightlessness from the beginning to the end of the element. The train then dives left under a barn, which gives some very scary visuals. This is followed by a very slow inline twist that goes through a barn, which then hits the brake run and concludes the ride. It's definitely not one of the longest rides in the world. What does Thunderbird do well? Put it shortly, it has a great sense of speed, some incredible inversions, and great visuals. But Thunderbird suffers from restrictive restraints and a very short ride duration. Alright, now let's give the coaster a ranking based on a couple different categories. Let's begin with the setting. With this ride mostly tucked away in the forest, it has some beautiful views of the trees in the park. It's not the best setting on a coaster I've ever seen, but it's definitely not bad. I would give this setting a 9 out of 10. Alright, let's move on to the smoothness category. Now this is something that B&M, especially with their wing coasters, excels at. Thunderbird is no exception. It's one of the smoothest roller coasters I've ever ridden. Now every once in a while, you may experience the infamous B&M rattle, but this doesn't take away from the ride experience. So I'll give Thunderbird a 9.5 out of 10 on smoothness. Alright, now let's talk about the restraints. This is the first major flaw of the ride. These B&M vest restraints are very restrictive and make it hard for some people to breathe. Although they do prevent headbanging, so there is a plus to that. I would give these restraints a 7 out of 10. Alright, now let's talk about the theming. There are a couple smoke effects here and there in the beginning, but besides that, there's nothing too much. However, Thunderbird has some incredible hand and head choppers that enhance the ride a lot. I'll give the theming a 7 out of 10 for this. Thunderbird's got some pretty good capacity, and seeing as Holiday World is not the most popular park in the world, I'd give it a 9 out of 10 on capacity. Now for the pacing category. Thunderbird takes some of its elements at a very slow pace. While most of this is done on purpose, I think it could benefit from a little bit of a faster pace. Therefore, I'll give this a 7.5 out of 10. After calculating the average of all these scores, Thunderbird gets a final score of 8.2 out of 10. Considering the short duration of the ride, this is a very good score. Thunderbird may not be the best coaster in the park, but if you're there, it's definitely something I would recommend checking out for yourself. Alright, now I want to highlight the differences between the rows and the seats of the roller coaster. Due to the small stature of the trains, the back row won't feel too much different than the front row, but where you sit may change your ride experience. Sitting on the left side of the coaster will ensure better views and better head choppers, while sitting on the right of the side often gives you better views of the park and the forest around. Because the trains are so short and the back row doesn't feel too much different from the front row, I would suggest a front row ride on this. The visuals are much better and the head choppers seem very scary. Smoothness should be the least of your concerns when riding Thunderbird. But if you're someone that's sensitive to rattles and shakiness, I would suggest sitting on the seats that are closer to the train. Although it's not that much of a difference, it does feel a tad bit smoother than the outside seats. Thank you for watching, give me some more video suggestions, and don't forget to like and subscribe.